It began as one of those golden mornings on the Kelly Clarkson Show. The kind that feels light, spontaneous, and full of joy. The crowd was electric, Kelly was radiant, and laughter seemed to pour endlessly through the studio. The guest of honor? Sandra Bullock, America's sweetheart. A woman celebrated for her warmth, her wit, and that unshakable sense of grace she carries into every room she enters. The setup was simple. Two old friends catching up, swapping stories, sharing smiles. No one in the audience had the faintest clue that what started as a cheerful reunion would soon dissolve into something no one could forget. A confrontation so raw, so unexpected, that it left Kelly speechless and Sandra walking off the stage before the cameras stopped rolling. Scene 2. Kelly opened the conversation the way she always did, with that familiar sparkle. "Now, Sandra," she teased, "you've got this funny reputation. You're charming and hilarious, but also kind of a mystery. You keep your private life locked up tighter than a Marvel script." Sandra laughed, leaning back in her chair. "That's because you can't get in trouble for what you never say," she quipped, earning a wave of laughter. Kelly grinned. Maybe. But sometimes silence says the most." The audience reacted with a mix of laughter and surprise. Sandra's smile flickered. Not gone, just slightly dimmed. "Are you trying to get me in trouble, Kelly?" she said, half joking. Kelly chuckled. "Not at all. I just think people love seeing you unfiltered, even if that gets a little messy sometimes." That's when Sandra crossed her arms, posture tightening, her voice steady. "Messy's one thing. Exploited's another." The tone in the room shifted. Small, subtle, but impossible to ignore. Scene 3. Sensing the heaviness, Kelly tried to steer things back toward the light. "You kind of vanished for a while," she said. "Was that burnout or just taking time for yourself?" Sandra hesitated, her gaze steady. "A little of both," she said. "This industry, it takes more than it gives." Kelly nodded but pressed further. "Do you think you'll ever come back full-time? Or are you done with all the Hollywood chaos?" Sandra smiled faintly. "It's not about being done," she said carefully. "It's about remembering who you are outside the noise." Kelly leaned in, her tone still playful. "Come on, Sandra. That noise made you who you are." The crowd chuckled, but Sandra didn't. "No," she said quietly, each word deliberate. "I made me who I am." The laughter stopped. The air thickened. Scene 4. Kelly laughed nervously, trying to brush off the tension. "Of course, I didn't mean it like that. I just meant Hollywood gave you a platform." Sandra nodded slowly. "And it took a lot in return." A silence hung in the room, heavy, uncomfortable. Kelly shifted. "You sound kind of angry about it." Sandra's lips curved, but her eyes didn't match. "Not angry," she said softly. "Just done pretending that fame equals happiness." Kelly looked caught between curiosity and discomfort. "You can't deny it's helped you reach people." Sandra's voice sharpened slightly. "And you can't deny it eats people alive if they're not careful." The audience gasped. A collective intake of breath. Kelly blinked, thrown for a moment. Sandra didn't flinch. Scene 5. Trying to recover, Kelly forced a smile. Okay, let's talk rom-coms. Your fans adore those happy endings." Sandra chuckled without humor. "People love happy endings," she said. "Even when they're built on lies." The audience laughed, assuming she was joking, but Sandra's eyes told another story. Kelly tried again, lightly. "Wow, someone got deep since the last interview. You used to be so bubbly," Sandra replied calmly. "Maybe I just stopped performing." Silence. Total silence. Kelly's face tightened, her voice softer now. "This show's about positivity, Sandra." "Positivity's wonderful," Sandra replied. "As long as it's real, not rehearsed." Scene 6. Kelly tried to stay composed. "I get it," she said. "I've had my dark days too, but this show, it's meant to lift people up." Sandra's tone was gentle but unyielding. Sometimes lifting people up means telling the truth. Not smiling through the pain, Kelly forced a laugh. "Sure, but truth doesn't have to be so heavy." Sandra raised an eyebrow. Only for people afraid of it. The room froze. Kelly's expression hardened slightly. Sandra, are you saying I'm afraid of being real? Sandra hesitated, then said quietly, I think you might be too used to being liked. Kelly's eyes widened. The words hit like a quiet thunderclap. The audience murmured, unsure what they were witnessing. Scene 7. Off-camera, producers waved frantically, urging Kelly to move on, but she didn't. You know what, Sandra? Kelly said, her tone steady but sharp. I think that's unfair. I've built this show on honesty and joy. Sandra leaned in slightly, voice calm but cutting. Joy's beautiful when it's honest. But when it's a mask, it's exhausting. Kelly's breath caught. Are you calling me fake? Sandra shook her head. No, I'm saying this world forces all of us to fake it sometimes. I just don't anymore. Kelly's frustration flickered beneath her polite smile. Well, I still believe in kindness. Sandra nodded. So do I, but kindness isn't pretending everything's fine when it isn't. The crowd sat frozen, half admiring, half uncomfortable, torn between two women speaking their truth in real time. Scene 8. After a long, tense pause, Kelly forced a smile. All right, she said. Maybe we should wrap this up on a lighter note. Sandra nodded, though her expression said she'd already checked out. Kelly tried to recover with humor. Sandra Bullock, everyone, still keeping it real. The audience laughed weakly. Sandra stood, smiled politely. Thanks for having me, Kelly. Kelly blinked. Wait, we still have a few minutes left. Sandra shook her head. No, I think I've said everything I needed to. She removed her microphone, gave a polite nod, and walked off stage. The audience gasped. Kelly sat frozen for a beat before forcing a smile and throwing to commercial. The cameras cut, but the silence that followed backstage was deafening. Scene 9. Within hours, the clip exploded online. Headlines spread like wildfire. Sandra Bullock walks off Kelly Clarkson Show after tense exchange. Millions watched, rewound, and dissected every look, every pause, every word. Was Sandra standing up for authenticity, or crossing a line? Was Kelly caught off guard, or just defending her space? The internet couldn't decide. Some called Sandra brave, others labeled her cold. But everyone agreed. Something about that moment felt painfully real. Scene 10. 10 days later, Kelly addressed it head-on. Sometimes conversations go places you don't plan, she said gently. I've got nothing but respect for Sandra, and I hope she's doing well. Sandra's team later released a short statement. Sandra appreciates the opportunity to speak honestly. She stands by her words. Neither woman commented again. But the world didn't stop talking, because that day wasn't just about a celebrity walking off a talk show. It was about what happens when the mask slips, when truth steps into the light and refuses to leave quietly. Sandra Bullock didn't just walk off a set that morning. She walked away from expectation and straight into her truth, and the world couldn't look away.